Hey, welcome to the second part of my process video for the knife painting. So, as you can see, I'm working on the diagonal elements that are coming in or out of the frame. And at that point, I was not sure yet if I want to frame it completely, have a frame that is really going completely along the edge of the painting. And I fast forwarded a lot or cropped parts out. Neither bright nor dark really convinced me as a good solution, so I went the middle way, and that's like how cross-hatching works, is you build values by crossing the lines, and this of course is a very simplified version of that. I didn't want to go too detailed and too modern, so I really went with just the horizontal lines. Close your eyes nearly completely, you only see there's this bright gray value going on. And right now I use lazy Nezumi, as you can see, to have those lines pointing at the sigil at the top. And darkening this at the bottom to have some kind of symmetry to the top, because I introduced those dark gray areas at the top around the sigil, the title sigil, to emphasize its bright presence and the bright lines. And so I felt like I have to balance it out so it isn't too strong at the head or too strong at the foot and disbalanced. And I decided, after thinking about those areas and what I wanted to show in those bands, I wanted to have some sphinx in there, because sphinxes are those gatekeepers and riddle speakers and powerful entities. So yeah, this is, again, I create those lines coming from the face because I wanted to have this gaze of the Sphinx being the focus of those bands, and not go completely like language or symbols in those stripes. The bright stripes you got on the bottom, these are kind of simplified rays from the sun. That's where they come from. And as you can see, I want to darken the stripes a bit more, so they also have their own value and their own heaviness. And this what you see now is again sigil creation for the one is my signature on the right, which is not like signature that I did before. This is again spontaneous sigilizing. And on the left I have Aynbath, it's a sigil. And those are the sigils I wanted to have in the verticals. At that point, I'm brainstorming about how I could frame them so they don't feel too lost, and where I could place them. The first thought, of course, was to place sigils in the diagonal stripes coming from the top. But right now, I just created them. I was pretty happy with them, and I was pretty fast with these. These were really going really well because I didn't have to experiment a lot. And now I decided to have, because the knife is lying on this background, on this stone, let's say, and I wanted to not go super engraved and all, but painted. And so I decided to have the glow, or like the power and the, this whole energy of the knife be painted flames. And also I very inspired by David Herrerias and his artworks. There's one cover art for a black metal album that had those flames, and I was like, yeah, this feels so ancient and so different. Like, it's, you understand it's flames, but it's not super naturalistic. And that's the approach I wanted to go with in this piece. And I find it really works well. So yes, I turned off my overlay, so you could see what I do behind the curtain. This is pretty much how I organize and yeah, keep track of my layers, because this piece has so many layers, and I try to stay really organized and have elements in folders, so I can turn them off again and see if I maybe go with a different approach. And here, at this point, I'm creating like dirt that is still sticking in the edges, or like in the areas where you don't touch. This is like patina or something. And from now on, I just refine this stuff. Put this dirt and this patina, and I will also be doing more sigil stuff. Yeah, and trying out some details for the like ornaments, but I realized that it looks weird and doesn't fit, so I go more simple. Just place another circle in the circles to have some kind of edge around it. Again, using Lazy Nezumi with the ellipse function. And yes, now I'm putting in textures from rocks to make it more believable, less clean. Have more depth in there, more detail. And as you see, in the beginning I had the texture over everything except the knife, and then I decided to put the flames, the white flames, above it. So it's more powerful, more otherworldly. And again, I'm moving this texture. The texture is put on multiply, which means it's just darkening what's brighter. And I'm moving the texture on the layer around the image and try to find the right areas of the texture for the certain elements. you like the video, please subscribe, and you will soon see more like that.